The first annual Crime Prevention Forum, hosted by the Virgin Islands Police Department, featured education, law enforcement, and legislative officials offering up ideas that they believe will reduce incidents of violence and bullying at schools across the territory. Under the theme Bullying and the School to Prison Pipeline, the forum convened a panel comprising Acting Deputy Commissioner of Education Karen Chancellor, VIPD Commissioner Ray Martinez, Judge Jessica Gallivan, Senator Novel Francis, and former Senator Diane Capehart.
A lot of us as young people had that special teacher that was there for us, that would spend time with us, and that would act as a counselor, so to speak, to buffer the things that we might be experiencing at home or school or in society. But today we have to step up our game, and we do have to analyze what the triggers are in our community, and for every child it's going to be different.
There's no normal behavior happening at our schools. These fights that we're seeing in our school environment are not normal behaviors. There's something going on with our students.
We take God out of our children, take prayer out of school, and we don't have no love. We as parents don't tell our children we love them anymore. We don't hug them, we don't cuddle them, we don't say, I love you, you could come to me. You don't teach them how to pray, you don't take them to church. Once you take God out of anything, we must fail. We're doomed to fail. We have to tell our young people, especially our males, that we love them, that they could come and talk to us. It's not a matter if something will happen here in the territory as a mass shooting, it's when it's going to happen. And if we don't do steps to prevent it, we will have problems. We're in the territory to react to stuff. We need to be proactive. We need to cut it out before it happens. Don't wait till it happens to figure out what we're going to do.
Suggestions included anger management training, adopting individualized solutions, and hiring therapeutic and guidance counselors in schools. However, one measure which several contributors agreed on was the urgent need to identify the root causes of the problems that make students lash out. Ivan Mason, Director for Disaster Planning and School Security, expressed his strong belief that the issues start at home as he pleaded with parents and guardians to speak to their children.
We need to talk to our students. We need to find out what's the problem, have a conversation with them, because they will tell you. They will tell you. There is something deeper than school. We have to include the home. We have to include the parents. This should be from home to school to the pipeline for prison. Not from school to prison, from home. It starts at home. Okay? And that's where we need to start looking at it from the beginning when it starts. And not when they get to 5th grade or 6th grade or 7th grade. From kindergarten.
Meanwhile, Mason indicated that the Department of Education is actively pursuing a number of measures, including hiring truancy officers, establishing a hotline where cases of delinquency can be anonymously reported, and installing surveillance cameras in schools across the territory. In addition, monitors are being trained on how to deal with situations that happen within the school as a way to curtail the violence. VIDE's Acting Deputy Commissioner Karen Chancellor said the department was going even further in implementing a, quote, tiered intervention in response to delinquent behaviors. Funds, she says, have already been set aside to hire counselors and school success specialists who will manage in-school suspensions. Guidance counselors are expected to target students who are involved in fights and host group or individual sessions to address the reason behind their aggression, which are thought to stem from a number of factors, including low academic attainment, poor parent-child interactions, exposure to drug use at an early age, as well as poverty.
So it's not anymore just like you did this, now you have 10 days of suspension, and then when you come back, it's business as usual. We cannot keep, as the Senator Capehart said, we don't want to be sending our students home on suspension, then they get all their zeros, they come back, it's business as usual, they fight again, and then you get these suspensions. There are certain cases we have no choice because the Board of Education has mandates that we have to follow when it says mandatory certain amount of suspension depending on, you know, what the infraction is. We are actually setting up counseling with different providers. We have actually set aside monies so that we can have those things in our toolkit that our schools will be able to use. So during your suspension, you have to meet with a counselor a certain amount of times, depending on what it is. Your family might have to meet a certain amount of times. And suspensions are no longer out-of-school suspensions. We also are utilizing in-school suspensions because we're not sending kids home to play video games. That's called a vacation.
The USVI leads the Caribbean in incarceration rates, according to a presentation by Dr. Kimberly Mills, Executive Director for the Virgin Islands Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. Mills quoted excerpts from VI researchers Harney and Farrell Haley's 2012 report, which also stated that the USVI is the 5th in the world when it comes to incarceration rates per capita. Their research, however, found that providing increased opportunities for education to inmates lowered recidivism rates for offenders.
Part of any good intervention plan is going to be figuring out how to meet those kids' needs for status and attention and money by engaging in socially appropriate behaviors. There can be cash incentives for not engaging in delinquency. There can be cash incentives for starting delinquency and then stopping it. And there can be cash incentives so you don't discourage the students who have always been good. We say it's bribing and this. No, it's not bribing students. It's giving them things that are reinforcing to them that have a likelihood of helping to improve those future behaviors.
Senator Franklin Johnson suggested that those currently incarcerated could be valuable resources to help modulate the behavior of delinquent students. Another contributor suggested that those in charge review the effects of the children's environment and how that plays a role in how they choose to socialize. A suggestion by Dr. Mills was to make classrooms a nicer place to be.
And if you want a quick and easy solution, poll the students. You know, what would make this classroom a nicer place to be? Maybe the answer is plants, maybe the answer is music, maybe the answer is aromatherapy. I mean, we know these things work. When you go into hotels and stores, they're using all those things to get you to buy more materials. So why can't we use it to help students, you know, want to stay in school and be in school longer? All of these things, it works on our brain whether we're conscious of it or not. It's these principles are working in our lives. The point is, you know, can we teach the students how to feel anger without doing destructive things? Is there an outlet where they can vent? You know, this is good. You know, so those are really the deeper questions. It's not just teaching kids to control anger. It's, you know, giving them a space to talk about what's happening, what's going on.
This inaugural forum was one of many attempts to address violence and delinquency in schools. At the beginning of the 2023 school year, a number of students were disciplined for displaying violent behavior and bullying while on the school compound. In a few cases, law enforcement had to be deployed to attend to quarrels that escalated into fights.